I'm Allie. I'm 22 years old. I was addicted to alcohol and cocaine, and I've been sober for almost 5 years. You know, I want the normal things in life. I want to get married, I want to have children, and like that's very different from how I viewed things before. My addiction started like any other kind of like normal teenage experimentation. I was just curious. However, it progressed really quickly, but it became quite evident that I was using drugs and alcohol to forget about whatever else was going on in my life and as a coping mechanism. I knew I needed to change when I began using alone and using when I didn't want to. I think once I was able to acknowledge myself as an addict, it was a sense of relief because for a really long time I didn't understand that it was the drinking and drug use that had become a problem. Substance abuse comes with a lot of other problems, anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide. I was having all of those and I don't think it's talked about enough. When I decided that I wanted to get sober, I think people wanted to believe me, but I told them so many times before that I was going to get it together, that I was going to, at least decrease my alcohol and drug intake. And so when I broke those promises to them, it was hard for them to trust me again. But I realized that the only thing that I could do was to stay sober and let them see for themselves that this time it was going to be different. My life started to get really full again. I graduated high school the same week as my 1 year of recovery, and I knew that being sober played a huge role in that because beforehand I kept dropping out of school, like I couldn't do it. I just couldn't bring myself to do that kind of stuff. I had friendships that I had never experienced before, and I think most importantly, I built a relationship with my family. And I know that for some people, even in recovery, that's not possible for them. So to have my family's love and support again, and to have, I'm best friends with my mom and my sister. My dad, I can talk with him about things that I've never been able to before. And it took a long time. It took, I'm still working on it today with them. I've had a taste of this sense of contentedness that I completely lacked when I was using and drinking. Other young people that had gone through what I went through was definitely probably the most significant thing in my recovery. I sat, in rooms with therapists and social workers before I got sober, and while I felt that there was support, I knew that they didn't understand, that they could read a textbook and intellectually get it, but they didn't understand the feeling of being an alcoholic and addict. And so when other young people told me their stories and told me what they did and that they were sober, and not only sober, but happy, I knew that this could work for me too. The only things that I can't do in this life are drink and use drugs. I can do anything else, and I'm not going to stop myself because I'm scared or because I'm full of fear. And it's really great not to wake up with a hangover every morning. So there's just little things like that. But I thought when I was gonna get sober that my life was gonna essentially end, that it was gonna be boring, and I was gonna be hanging around other people that were boring and not drinking as well. But it's been the complete opposite of that. I have way more fun now than I ever did before because it wasn't very fun before. It was fun for a couple of months before it just got really painful and dark. So I try to just make the most out of everything right now. And yeah, it's great. I don't necessarily agree with the just say no approach. I mean, obviously experimenting, I wouldn't recommend going and doing it, but if you are, just to be open and to communicate with everyone around you. There are resources out there if you think you ever have a problem. or if you just think that you need a little extra help with life. Like, there are so many great agencies and counseling services where you can just talk about anything with other people your age, and to know that you're not alone in whatever you're feeling and whatever you're going through makes the biggest impact. I want to be able to take my experience and help others with that, and come from this approach of a consumer survivor view of things. I've been through the system, so I do know what I'm talking about. It's weird to think about.